it as a team. So we have a pretty large cohort this term. We have 1,000 students this term, and we also have more than 50 tutors, so we are quite a large team. It's great to see that we work together as a team in 1531. Yay, teamwork, that's it. So our tutors are amazing. I have to say that 1531 tutors are also amazing. We have received a lot of feedback from our students saying that our tutors are very friendly and they are very responsive. The best thing, like one of the best things about this course is the extremely supportive tutors. And now we have the supportive students as well. Yay! We are such a good team. Cool. Yay! And also, we not only have the teaching team, we also have our amazing students. Thank you so much for your help supporting of the rolling headache, and also thank you all for introducing yourself on the course forum. So we have a forum, and we have a lot of students joining us, introducing yourself on the forum. Welcome everyone. Welcome Ting. Welcome Alison. Welcome Ning. Yay! Wow, yummy food. And welcome Johnson. Oh, I love this cat. Yay. Welcome everyone. If you haven't done this yet, try to introduce yourself to the team, the 1531 team. And we are very excited to have you joining this team. Yay, go, 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 go Wiki, yay. Cool. So now, why are we here? So we are here for the fundamentals of software engineering. So what is it? So why are here? So all of you have learned COMP1531, right? So we learned how we can program by writing code to solve problems. So we can solve some algorithm problem, you can solve some mathematics problem. So that is 1511. So congratulations everyone for passing 1511. And welcome to 1531. So here we'll build on top of what you have learned in COMP1511 to learn how to be a software engineer by architecting and building software in a team. Okay, so there's a testimony from our previous students who emailed us after they did 1531 1 year. They said I took 1531 last year and I'm on an internship right now, and I have to say that it was the most useful course at UNSW I've taken so far. My day-to-day work is surprisingly similar to how the course worked, with sprints, testing, and using Git. Yay, we are going to learn all of this, and you will find all of this super useful for your future career. We also have other comments from other students in the Maxperience survey who said that I think the major project and the content of the course itself was incredibly insightful and applicable to real-world team situations. So I have to say that 1531 is designed to be very practical and also can apply really well to real-world industry programs, projects. And I also have students saying that I feel like now I'll be able to work effectively in a software team. So we'll learn how we can work collaboratively and effectively in a software team in this course. Okay, so this is also a very interesting comment saying that although the content was quite heavy first few weeks, after that it slowed down, allowing me to probably consolidate the content rather than rush through everything. So you will notice that in 1531, the first couple of weeks, the first 4 or 5 weeks, just a lot of things going on. It's pretty heavy in the first couple of weeks. This is designed to prepare you for the major project. So you do not need to stress if you feel, wow, too many things is going on in 1531 in the first couple of weeks. It's okay. Like, we'll slow down after week 5, and you can apply and practice everything that you learned in the first couple of weeks in your major project. So you understand the concept, the theories, the practices better and better in the project. So it's okay if you feel too much things is going on in the first couple of weeks. Okay, so now let's go back to this question. What is software engineering? Okay, okay, so let's have a chat in the comment. Let me know what do you think is the difference between computer science and software engineering. So let me know in the chat. So your understanding of the difference between computer science and software engineering. CS is theory. Okay, one has to do thesis and the other doesn't. Okay, so this is the degree or the program at CSE, like at ESW. But what's the difference between like general, like computer science and software engineering? Software engineering is better, yay, William. One that software, one that science with computers. Okay, I see software engineering is the application. Computer science is theory, software engineering is use theory to make applications via abstractions. Very interesting. So software engineering focuses more on constructing applications. Yay! Akshat says that working as a team in software engineering, yeah. And Martin said that software engineering is making software. Computer science is general blanket field for anything to do with computers. And Ring says one engineers software and one science computer. Let's see one last comment from Source Master saying that computer science is the science of computers, which can include, for example, stuff about algorithms and time complexity, where software engineering is about building software for people to... Wow, I love this answer so much from Source Monster. This is such a good answer. I mean, all other answers are very good, just that one is most close to my answer, like my personal answer. But yes, so computer science is concerned with understanding how computers work and function, like making a computer do things. Okay, so when you click on some button, it needs to go to the next page. And also it works with AI or cybersecurity, so it's about like science. But software engineering, yeah, as you mentioned in the chat in the comment, software engineering is focused on building the right software for the right people. So we are doing things for people to use. Okay, so for example, the things that you learn in 1511, like people cannot use it yet, right? So it's just sitting on your computer. But in software engineering, we'll learn about how we can build software for people to use, and also the right software for the right people. And we will also learn how to make sure it is maintainable over time, because for example, a lot of software is like the one that you are using, like YouTube, it has been used for people, for users for a long time, right? So we need to maintain it over time as it grows, when we add new features to it, and also people working on it change. So we will learn all of this. Yeah. So this is a very interesting explanation of the difference. It says that a genius sitting in their garage alone writing code and Instagram's developer might both be engaging equally in the areas of computer science, like they are both doing coding, programming, but they vastly differ in the area of software engineering. So in the Instagram's developer, they work as a team, they build Instagrams to be used for the users, right? And there's also another comment from Robert Peck from Google, who once said that collaboration is a key difference between software engineering and computer science. So we work with people building software together. So even one person who is super clever is a genius. That one single person is impossible to develop or maintain a software like YouTube, like Instagram, right? So we need to be in a team to build such kind of large softwares. Cool. Okay, so this is more for us at UNSW. So software engineering is basically an extension of computer science, where we can get extra focus on how software systems are built, how to manage projects, and how to test software to provide quality assurance. Do you need to be a software engineering student to be employed as a software engineer? So I got asked a lot of this question during the open day last Saturday. So a lot of parents and students come and ask me, do I need to enroll in the software engineering degree to be employed as a software engineer? No, yeah, the answer is no. We have a lot of students in computer science degree. They graduate and be employed as a software engineer. So you do not need to be in software engineering degree to be employed as a software engineer. Also, even though you're in like computer engineering in other schools at UNSW, at engineering faculty, you all have the potential to be employed as a software engineer if you find yourself passionate about software. Okay, so this is like more official definition of software engineering. So in this course, we'll learn together how to be a good software engineer. So we'll learn how we can understand the problem that we are trying to solve. Like software projects are designed to solve people's problem, right? So for example, YouTube allows people to join live streamings, watch recordings online, right? So they are solving people's problem, and other software project as well. So we'll learn how we can understand the problem that we are trying to solve, and we'll also learn how to design and develop code that resists regression, like changes during time. So we'll also learn that software projects are always changing, like we're always evolving, making changes. So we will learn how we can design, develop a code that can be that is okay with all these changes in the future. We'll also learn how to ensure the software is safe, like by making sure it's correct, like it's not broken, like it can work. So we'll also learn how to make our software available for other people to use on the internet. So we can all access YouTube, right? So it's available online, right? So we'll also learn about that. We'll also learn how we can work together with a group of people. Okay, teamwork, yay! Wow, the chat is very active. Have tried to read as many comments as I could. Well, I'm talking. Cool. Okay, so yeah, cool. So these are the topics that we will learn in this course. So we have requirements, design, development, correctness, project, coding together, as well as full stack. So you can find all of these on our course website. So you notice that we cover different topics in 1531. For example, we talk about coding, developing in this lecture. We also talk about making sure we are building well-tested software, building the correct software here. We'll also talk about design. So you will notice that we talk about a lot of topics in 1531. So all of these are about the software development life cycle. So learning the software development life cycle is one of the key learning outcomes of 1531. So So this is the life cycle of developing a software project. So you may start with requirement analysis, like understanding the stakeholders' requirements, like what they want the software to be, like how they want, what kind of problem they want to solve. And then build on top of requirement analysis, we will design the architecture, design the software, and then we'll do the actual coding, like developing the software. We'll also learn about how to test our software to make sure that our software is doing the thing correctly. And we also learn how to make sure that our software can be available for people around the world to use. We'll also learn about how we can maintain the software. So you'll see that this is the development life cycle of software. Okay, so one of the major assessment of 1531 is the major project. So you will experience and learn all stages in the software development life cycle in the major project. So you will do design the major project, you will do development testing in the major project. However, I want to emphasize that the end project is not the key learning outcome. So the key learning outcome is not just the end project, but also the experience of the whole life cycle. So because COMP1531 is the software engineering fundamentals course, so we introduce you to the whole software engineering development life cycle. However, we can't go like very deep into each stage. So for example, if you want to learn more about design or testing, you can take another course at CSE to get like deeper understanding of each of the stages. However, in 1531, we'll take you through like all stages in this life cycle, so you get a full experience of it. Okay, but you can still continue learning them in other courses and also in your future jobs. Cool. Oh, trying to get your questions in the chat because I noticed that yeah, okay, yeah, I'll try to read the chat as often as I could. Okay, cool. So let's have a brief overview of each stage in this life cycle, so you know why we are doing what we are doing in this course. So first of all is requirement. So requirement engineering focuses on understanding a problem that we are trying to solve. This is super important. However, sometimes, like as we are developers, sometimes we rush to the solution, rush to solve the problem. However, it is super important that before we rush to solve the problem, we need to understand the problem properly. So we need to know what kind of problem the stakeholders have, like what are the problem we need to solve for them, so that we are making sure that we are solving the right problem. Okay. So if we do not understand the requirement properly before solving the problem, like developing the software, we might build something that works well, but for the wrong purpose. For example, for YouTube, you may design a feature. What kind of feature? Design a feature for getting the weather of a city, which may work well. Like you can still get the weather in Sydney for today, but it's not the key feature. May not be the key feature for YouTube, right? So it might not be the key feature that we want for YouTube. So we need to understand the problem first, like what kind of feature we want, before we rush to coding, programming to solve the problem. So we'll learn about requirements. We'll also learn about design. So design a software. So good design is about setting up good architecture for our system. Yeah, so this is also one step before we actually try to write the code. We'll also actually learn coding, like the development, so how we can actually code the thing. And in this course we'll learn JavaScript. So we'll talk about JavaScript today after this course overview lecture. So we'll learn why we will be learning JavaScript. And we'll also learn how to make sure that our software is correct. So software needs to be correct as much as possible. So we'll learn how we can test our code to make sure that it is doing the thing. We'll also learn about project, like how we can manage our project. We'll learn this in the lectures and also in your major project. And we also learn about coding together. So teamwork is one of the major learning outcomes in 1131. So we'll have a lecture, workshop, and activities about teamwork. So we'll learn about teamwork, about like how we can work with people in a software group. We'll also learn about how we can use tools to manage our software and how we can use tools to work with people in a software project. So I add this for this term. We'll also learn working with people that they don't always agree with you. So this is very fundamental, but it's not commonly aware. So you may in a group that some of your team members or teammates, they don't always agree with you, but this is also true in industry, in real life. So we'll also learn how we can work with that. Okay. Cool. I'm reading the chat. Cool. One thing that I want to mention, so you might have heard this from other courses as well. So we do care about our students' health and well-being. So we do understand before the assignment is due, sometimes you may be stressed or overwhelmed. So please first take care of your health and well-being. UNSW do provide services to support you to make sure that you can get help, get support. So if you are not sure how you can get this kind of support or help from UNSW, feel free to email me and I can help you get the support. And I also want to mention a bit about ChatGPT and other generative AI tools in this course. So are we allowed to use ChatGPT and Copilot and other generative AI tools in 1531? Yes? No? Okay, so there are some official guidance from UNSW on using generative AI tools, and including Copilot and ChatGPT. Okay, so first of all, I want to remind everyone that generative AI generated answers can often be misleading and sometimes it can be wrong. So you need to be super mindful if you are using these tools. This is not only for 1531 but also in your general learning experience. But in COMP1531, we do not allow students to use generative AI or Copilot generated code in your major project or in the labs. So you may ask, like, how can we know whether you are using generative AI or Copilot? So during the lab or during the project demonstrations, we'll do some interviews. We may ask you some questions to see whether you understand what you are writing. Or we may also ask some students to make some modifications to your code, to your project. So yeah, so the reason is that we want, so because 1531 is a fundamental course, it is super important that you learn the fundamental knowledge. You learn the basic things. So we try to push you to write code by yourself. So it may be in future course, in like more higher level course in your year 3, or some student may during advanced courses may have a year 4 courses. Maybe in those courses you can use ChatGPT because you already have the basic understanding of the fundamentals. You know what is wrong in the generic AI generated answers, but now we are still learning the very fundamentals. So we want to push you to read everything yourself, to do everything yourself. Yeah. Remember that we will check your understanding during the project demos. Okay. Reading the chat again. Wow. Yeah, so I also noticed in the chat some students saying that they had group members using ChatGPT in their project before. Yeah, we also noticed that, and it is really hard for team members to build on top of ChatGPT generated code because sometimes it's different from what we learned in this course, and it's also it can be really hard for team members to build on top of the code. So yeah, do not use ChatGPT generated code in 1531. Cool. Yeah, reading the chat for now. Cool. Do we have any questions so far about this course overview lecture? Yeah, okay. Any question? Yeah, I think the chat mainly agree that it's not good to use ChatGPT. Cool. Okay, cool. Let us know if you have any other questions in the chat. Otherwise, we'll move on to the content. So, JavaScript. Okay, yay, we are learning JavaScript. So in this lecture, we'll learn JavaScript as a second language because all of you have learned C before, and we'll also learn some core JavaScript language features. Okay. So why are we learning JavaScript? So first of all, it's because it's so popular in industry. JavaScript is one of the most in-demand programming languages. So we want to teach you something that you can use when you graduate. So something that is used in industry, so something that is useful. Some major companies like Google, Facebook, Netflix, they all use JavaScript extensively. So you know that you are learning something that is also used in industry. And JavaScript is also powerful that it can be used for both front-end and back-end development. So if you know JavaScript, you can develop your software, your web software for both front-end and back-end development. Okay, so one language will be enough. And it's also very powerful for rapid prototyping. Like JavaScript has a very large community, so there's a lot of open source libraries and package managers that you can use. So you can build on top of other people's code. So for many times you do not need to write from scratch. So it's very powerful for rapid prototyping. So you want to do something very quickly, JavaScript will be the good choice. And JavaScript is also very high level, also making it very easy to write. Cool. So actually you may, all of you should also have used some software project that was developed in JavaScript. So for example, of a course website, So when you click on something, what is shown on the course website is changed. This is because it's powered by JavaScript. Okay. Also, when you log in a form, it can also be developed using JavaScript. So for example, when I log out here and I log in again, so this can be achieved by JavaScript as well. And also fetching and displaying data from an API. So we'll learn what is API later in this course, but you can just assume it's something fetched from another app or another software. So for example, in our course website, you notice that on the dashboard, we have announcements coming from Ad Forum. So this can also be achieved using JavaScript. So you can see that JavaScript is everywhere. So learning JavaScript can be very helpful for your web app development. Okay, so I also want to disclaim here, because all of you have already know C, we'll learn JavaScript very quickly. So you'll find it super quick, especially comparing with how you learned C in 1511. So we'll mainly focus on the differences between JavaScript and C. So this is because this is not the first time you learn a programming language. Like after you have learned C, it's much easier to learn a second programming language. So we just learn what's the differences, and yeah, so we learn that pretty quick. And also, unlike C, JavaScript is very powerful. So this will also make you feel that the language is much bigger than C, that you will feel like I don't know everything about JavaScript even after the 10 weeks after you taking this course. This is also very different from when we learn C. So when you're learning C in 153 or 1511, you might have been given a list of everything that you need to know about C, but we do not do that in 1531. Is because we do not require you to know everything about JavaScript. It's impossible. Like even very advanced programmers, developers, they still don't know everything about JavaScript. So that is absolutely okay. So in 1531, you just need to focus on learning what do you need to solve a problem at hand. You can feel free to use Google. You do not need to memorize how to use a function. You can just Google and how to use it. As long as you can use it, that will be enough. So you don't need to memorize it. And it's also okay that you do not know everything about JavaScript. So this is very, very common. Okay. So if you found that sometimes you're a little bit lost, it's absolutely fine. Just Google it. Okay. Cool. So this is how a simple JavaScript code looks like. It looks not too different from C, right? Okay. So the main hurdles we have to overcome after we have learned C is include JavaScript does not have programmer-defined types, unlike in C. So in C, when we declare a new variable, we need to declare the type, whether it's int, whether it's what is it, so whether it's a string or what is it. But in JavaScript, we do not need to declare that, so we'll see more examples later. And JavaScript has object-oriented components. However, we can almost ignore it in 1531. So we can only use the very basic features of JavaScript. And JavaScript also does not deal with pointers. Yay! We do not need to deal with pointers in JavaScript. And JavaScript is also often written at a high level, so more abstract. So we'll see some examples later. And JavaScript also does not have an intermediate compilation step. So we also see examples. So you see that JavaScript is somehow easier to learn, it's higher level, it's less complicated than C. Okay, cool. So let's compare the functions in C and JavaScript. So on the left hand side is a C function, on the right hand side is a JavaScript function. So both of them return the smaller number of A or B. Right. So you can see that in C we declare the type of variable A and B, but in JavaScript we don't do that, and also no return type as well. Otherwise it's very similar. You can have a look at the body of this function. It's exactly the same. So you can see that it's not that hard to learn a second programming language. Okay, so now let's call the function and print the result. So can everyone remind me how you call the function in C and print the result in C? Yeah, it looks almost the same, right? So it's not that hard to learn a second language. Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat. So this is how we call a function in C. However, in JavaScript you can see it's just one line. It's much easier to call the function and to print out the result. Okay, so now let's run the program. Okay, so in C this is how we run the program. However, in JavaScript we use node. Okay, so just node compare -2.js. However, what is node? What is node? Are there steps missing? We didn't compile it before we run the program, right? Is there any step missing here? So first of all, what is node? So we think that we run the program using node. So what is node? So Node.js is a command line interface that interprets JavaScript code within a runtime environment that is built on Google's V8 engine. Okay, so this is the definition. So just to simplify it, to make it easier to understand, so you can think of Node.js as the program that compiles and also runs JavaScript. So do compiling and runs at the same time. So to oversimplify, Node.js is a similar function to GCC. Okay, so Node.js or JavaScript is known as an interpreted language instead of a compiled language. So C is a compiled language. So this means that a JavaScript program is compiled and run as the same in the same step. Okay, so you only need to do node and then the program, the file, then you can run the program. So let's have a look. So here is the code. Yeah, so here's the code. So how we can run it. Oops, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so all we need to do is node and then the file's name. So it's called compare-2.js. Okay, so this is how we run a JavaScript file. Okay, cool. Next, we are going to learn more about how we can write JavaScript programs, so more features about JavaScript. So before that, let's try to have a break for 10 minutes. So let's have a break. Let's have, 5 minutes break. Have a 5 minutes break and come back at 12. Hello everyone, welcome back. Can you hear me? Just checking. Can you hear me? Hello, welcome back. Okay, cool, amazing. So now in the next over, we'll learn about JavaScript. Okay, cool, great, get excited. So first of all, we'll learn about the variables in JavaScript. So I'm going to show here. So you can access all the lecture code on the course website. So you can find the link to the lecture code on the course website here. So here's the link. You need to log in and you will see all the lecture code. Okay, but you can also find the lecture code on the slides as well. So they are the same. So here's the lecture code. You can just copy and paste and they work the same. Cool. So now let's have a look at variables and printing. So how we can use variables in JavaScript. Okay, so in C you may have used int or others to declare a variable. However, in JavaScript we declare variables using either let or const. So sometimes we may also see other people using var. However, you do not need to know var in this course, so just let and const. So variables declared using let can be modified later after definition. So for example, now we declared a variable of years which has the value of 5, but later we can change that into a different value. For example, years equals to 6. However, if we declare a variable using const, it cannot be changed or modified after the definition. So if here we want to change the name of full name into something different, for example, Yuqiao, you will see, like when you call the function, run the program, you will see an error message. So we cannot change the value after the definition. Okay, so now we have declared a couple of variables, years, full name. So you can see that full name here is declared like very similar to a string, but we did not say, well, full name is a string here. We just say it's const. So in JavaScript, the variables types are dynamic, so it has dynamic type. So we do not need to declare its type when we declare the variables. And age is 18, so you can see it's numbers. Sometimes can also be undefined or not. Okay. Yeah, so we got the question from FBI agent saying that why would you ever use const? That's a very good question. So sometimes we want the variables value unchanged. So we want to protect the value of that variable. We don't want it. Don't want us to accidentally change the value of it. So we want to declare it as const. However, if it's okay for you to change it in the future, feel free to declare it as let. Yep. Positive Webs asks, can we change years into a string? Oh, that's a very good question. So can we later change years into, for example, giraffe? The answer is yes. So in JavaScript, the data type is dynamic, meaning that it can be changed. You can change that. We do not declare it, and it can also be changed. So the data type will be identified by JavaScript itself. Okay. Let me see. Other question. Yep. Cool. Great. So after we declared the variables, we can now console log. So console log is basically just printf in C. So we can print the value of the variable. So for example, we can console log years, console log full name, or console log height. Okay, so let's run the program, and then you can see how it works. So this is what we are going to do. Can anyone remind me how we can run this variables.js file? So how we can run the file? Node, yes, node. So we can use node, and then node variables.js. So you can see that 5, giraffe, and this one all printed. So in C, when you printf, you need the -n. However, in console log, it's added for you, so you do not need the -n to move to the next line. So it's automatic. Yeah, thank you everyone. Cool. So this is how we can declare variables and how we can print those the values. Okay, so another commonly asked question is double and single apostrophe are equivalent, so you can use double quotes or single quotes. They are the same when we use strings. So for example, console log hello and console log with double quotes how are you, they work exactly the same. Okay, so you can see like hello, how are you, they work the same. So it's flexible. As long as you try to be as consistent as possible, that'll be fine. Cool. So now let's talk a little bit more about strings. So as you have seen in the previous example, this is how we declare a variable with a string value. However, if we want to join a couple of strings together, we can simply put using this plus, and you can plus a string with another string, so you kind of put the two strings together. So let's I'll just comment out the second example. Let's focus on the first example. Okay, so when you this is strings, let's run it so you get a good understanding of how it works. So you can see that my name is Pikachu, right? So this is how you can join strings together. It's very easy to use in JavaScript. Okay, but there's also another way that you can put strings together. It's called string literal. So in string literal, you use what is called like backdash, is it? And you can put variables and strings together. So in the previous example, let me just copy and pass it phase 1. Okay, so we used this one, my name is, so what you can do is plus, and then full name, and then plus I am, and then plus age. So you can in this way put the string together with variables. However, you can also use string literals if you want to mix the variables and the string together. So in this way you can create a string literal. So if you want to change the value of full name here, so for example if I change it to Rennie here, it will still work. So it's very flexible. So let us run. So you can see that hello, my name is Rennie and I'm 7. Sorry Rennie. Yeah, okay, I'm reading the chat. Yeah, so we also have a question like, can we get rid of this semicolon? The answer is yes, it still works. So in JavaScript, it's flexible, like whether you have the semicolon or not. However, I try to have this semicolon. It's just easier to read, looks better. Yeah, cool. Reading the chat. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is how we play with strings. You can see that JavaScript is very powerful. It's easy to read, right? And also easy to write. And it's not very hard to learn it after you have known C. And then is control structures like if, else, while, and for. And this is basically just exactly the same with in C. Let me. Where is this one? Control structure. Yeah, it is here. So it's exactly the same with C. So this is how we use if, else, and else. And then we can also use while loops. It's the same with C. And we can also use another for, the for loop, right? For loop, while loop, if condition. It's the same with C. The only difference is just how we declare the variables and how we print a string. Yeah. Okay, cool. So you can see that it's the same. And also functions. We have seen this function before already. It's very, very similar syntax to C. So quite straightforward. Okay, so now let's learn a bit more about data structures. So let's get a pause and a little bit about concepts and theories. So there are two important data structures in JavaScript, and both of them are collections of data. But they like one is sequential collections. Like there's the first one, second one, third one in this data collection. However, there's also another type called associative collection, which means that there's no ordering. Okay, so let's have a look at them one by one. So first of all is the sequential collections. We call them array in JavaScript. In sequential collection, the values are referenced by its index, its integer index. For example, this is an array with values of P, R, O, B, E, and each of them has an index. So for example, P is at index 0, R is at index 1, O is at index 2, right? It starts from index 0. And the length of this array is 5 because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so these values they have their location in an order. So for example, P is at the first one at index 0. Right, so this is sequential collection, and it is represented by an array in JavaScript. However, there's also another type called associative collections. So in associative collections, there's no such kind of ordering. So which one should be at first, which one should be at second. However, they are referenced by their string key that maps to a value. So for example, at the key of name, its value is Sally. At the key of age, its value is 18. However, it's okay to move them around. So you can move age before name, height before age is also okay. Yep. Okay, so this is associative collections, and we call them objects in JavaScript. So let's have a look at the first one, array, with some examples. Okay, so yeah, so let's have a look at this one. So array.js. Okay, this is here. So this is an array. So this is how we can declare an array, and the variable name is names. So and at this variable we have so this array holds many values and a single name. So this variable's name is name. However, for this under this variable there are more than one value. There are Hayden, there's one, there's also Rainy in this array. Okay, so this is also, so array is also a type of variable, right? It has variable name, it also has value, but the it has more than one value for this variable, and it's stored with an ordering. So this is at index 0, this value is stored at index 1, and this value is stored at index 2. Right. Yeah, so cheat code to also mention that with this array, with this names array, you may also notice that there are different types of value in this array. So this is different from in C, right? So we have string. In JavaScript we can have strings and also numbers or integers in one array. So it's okay to have different types of data in a JavaScript array. Cool. Yeah, so what if we want to print out the value of this array? So let's comment out this one. Just focus on the first part. So we can also use console log. So we can console log the whole array. We can also console log the value at a specific index. So let's try this one and see how it works. Arrays.js. You can see that for the first console log, it console log all values in this array. So it console log Hayden, 1, and Rainy. And for the second console log, we only console log the value at index 0 of name. So it is Hayden here. Okay. Yeah, so arrays in JavaScript is dynamic, not only because the data types in an array can be different, like we can have strings and also integers. It also because we can push data to this array. So in C we need to allocate, like for example, when we declare an array in C, we need to say, well, there's only 3 values in this array. But in JavaScript it's also flexible. We can push extra values atoms in this array. So for example, I can use names.push to push to this names array, and you will notice that there's one more item added to this array. So after Hayden, 1, and Rainy, there's one more UCL got pushed into this array. Okay, you can also push more. So for example, let's push PYRO. I just found a name from the chat. So we can push one more to this array. So you can notice that the size of the array increased another one. So you can see that there's Hayden, 1, Rainy, UCL, and Pedro. So arrays in JavaScript is dynamic. So it's dynamic array. So you can do this by adding another value to this array. You can also change the value in this array. So for example, I can change names, at index 1. Okay, I can change it to, for example, can I get another name from the chat? Oh, KARL. I add one more. I changed the value at index 1 of this array into Carol. So now when I console log this array, you can see that it is now Hayden, Carol, Rainy, UCL, and Pedro. So not only I changed the value, but also I changed the data type. So I changed from 1 as an integer to Carol as a string. Okay. Yeah. So I got a question from Arashi. Asked, can you push in more than one at the same time instead of doing add a new line each time? Yes, this is doable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this question to you. Okay, we'll see in the later later in this lecture that we can do a lot of things with array, but we'll talk about that a few later. Okay, so this is array. So actually what you can also do is you can also add a value at the front, in the middle, delete 1, delete 2, change 1, change 2. So just a lot you can do with JavaScript arrays. Okay. Cool. Okay, so this is the basics of array. What we can do is we can also iterate through an array. Okay, so for example, now we have an array of items which has values of A, B, C, D, E. And to iterate through this items array, what we can do is we can use a while loop and then console log the values in these items by using a while loop. Okay, so the index starts from 0 and finishes at 4. Right, so because there are 5 values, so the last one is at index 4, right? What we can also do is by using for loop. So it works similar, so we can just console log the value at index j, like starting from 0 to 4. Do you know why we use let here rather than const when we declare j or I? Yeah, it is because the value of I or j is changing, right? It changes. So if you declare I or j as const, you will get an error message saying that you cannot change the value of a variable declared using const, right? Yeah, I noticed in the chat like cheat code says like JavaScript looks so similar to C. That's right. It is very similar. It's much easier to learn a second programming language. Okay, so now let's have a look at this one. Just something looks a little bit weird, which is this items.length. Otherwise, it's the same with this for loop, right? So what is this items.length? So this is actually an array method. So we have seen here, like we can push to an array using names.push. So this is actually an array method. So this is something new that you may not seen before in C, right? So we can have a method for the array. So we can push a value to the array, and we can also use another array method called .length to get the length of an array, which here should be 5, right? Yeah. Cool. Cool. So this is it. We can also have a look at this one. So if you want to know more about the items.length, what we can do is we can just console log this item length, right? I'll comment out these ones, and yeah, so you can see array basics. Just run the code. So oops, right, is there? Oh, there's a typo here. Yeah, it is 5. So you can see that items.length is 5. So it is another array method. Cool. So with arrays, we can also loop through the values in this array. So in the previous example, when we using loop with arrays, the i's like we loop through the index. So I start from 0 to 4, right? So we loop through the index and we get the value of items by using items bracket I. However, what if we can just loop through A, B, C, D, E rather than loop through like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 and then get the value of it by using items I? The answer is yes, so we can do that. So we, instead of using for in loop, we can use for off loop. Okay, so when we use for in loop, okay, so this is I'm just thinking, how should I explain it? So if you want to get the index of an array, if you want to loop through the index of an array, you can use for in, and then I will be the index. So I will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. However, if you want to loop through the value in an array, you can use another for loop, which is for off loop. So in for off loop, we loop through the values in this array. Does it? Yeah, so I'll just show you how it works. So it can be, otherwise that, just to make it clear, array advanced. So you can see that for the first for loop, when we use for in, it loops from 0 to 4. However, when we use for off loop, it loops through the values of this item, which is A, B, C, D, E. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, just reading the chat. Yes, so FBI agent has a very good explanation of what is going on here. They said that I see, so it's like for in loop is like counting the number of bags, like counting what is in there, like 0, 1, 2, 3. Yes, and for off loop is like looking at the items inside the bag. That is right. So that's a very interesting and good explanation. I like it. Cool. Yeah. Okay. I think the chat is pretty clear now. Now, after we talk about sequential collections, which is array, so let's move on to objects, which is associate collections. So I found this example, I think this is a very good example online about objects. So they're giving an example of real life objects. So for example, a car is an object, and a car has properties like weight and color, and also has method like start and stop. Right? So this is a very good example. So you can see that car name can be flight, car model can be 500. So you can see that there's no ordering in these properties, right? So you can have models first, names later, and the values are assigned to the key here. So flight should be assigned to name rather than model, right? So what should be assigned, the value of white should be assigned to the key of color rather than name, right? So it's an associative collection, and all cars has like same properties. So all cars has a name, has model, has weight, has color, but the property value differ from car to car. So this, you may find object in JavaScript looks a little bit like Fiat, sorry. Looks a little bit like struct in C. Yeah, it looks very similar. But we also have method here. So a car can start, can drive, can brake, can stop. So all car can do this, but this method are performed at different times. Right. Okay, so this is an object. So when we declare an object needs to have these kind of properties or key, and also have values for the key or the properties. So objects are also variables. Right, so it has we need to declare using let or const, and we also need to declare the variable's name, and we assign a value to it. So it's an object is also a variable, but objects can contain many values. So this is similar to array. It can contain many values, but it's just the way that we assign the values are different. It doesn't have the sequential ordering, but we assign the value to key or property. So we can call this type as key or property. So both are correct. So the value are written as name and value pairs. So property and value pairs. So it's type, theater, model, 100 color is white. Okay, and it's also a common practice to declare objects with the const keyword. So I noticed Rennie give a very good explanation in the chat. Like we try to declare objects and arrays as const wherever it works. Yeah. Yeah, so positive vibes asking are objects like structs. Yes, it's very similar, but it's more powerful than struct. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Let's move on to see more examples here. So you can use objects when you need a collection of items that are identified by a string description rather than like index of 0, 1, 2, 3. For example, this one, objects.js. I found a student on the forum named as Ring, so I use Ring as an example here. So we can declare object named as student, and in this object there are a couple of name and value pairs. So name is Ring, score 89, and rank is 1. So this is how we can declare an object. Right, so you can also see that we can have multiple name value pairs in the student object, and also the data type can also be different. So we can have string, we can also have integers here. Cool. So what happens if we console log? So how can we print the value of this student? Okay, we can still use console log. So if we want to console log all name and value pairs in this student object, we can just use console log student. But if we want to console log one particular value in this object, we can just use student.name. We can also use student.score. They are the same. Right? So if we want to get the value of score, we can use student.score. If we want to get the rank value, we can also use student.rank. So let's try objects.js. You can see that when we console log students, it console log all the name and value pairs. And if we want to get any specific value in a specific value of a name of a property, we can just use student.rank, and we can change it as name, and when we console log it, it becomes Ring. Yeah, congratulations, Ring. Cool. Yeah, so this is how we can declare an object, and also how we can print a value in an object. So it's quite straightforward. And how we can change the value in an object. So for example, what if we want to change the score from 99 to 100. How we can change that? We can use student.score and change it to 100. Okay, so we want to add some more information about this student. So if we want to add a ZID of it, okay, so we want to add a ZID for this student, we can just add one more. So you can see that similar to an array where we can add one more value to that array list. In object, we can also add one more name and value pairs. Okay, so now when we console log the student object and also a score, which is updated now, it will look, oops. Oh, yes, sorry, it should be a string. So I forgot to add this. Okay. So you can now see that name, ring, score is updated to 100, rank is G1, and we also add another name and a property pair, which is ZID and Z1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the score is also being changed. Okay, so this is how we can make changes to an array. We can add another name and value pair. We can also change the value in an object. Okay, cool. So when you declare an object, there's also a more flexible way that you can just declare an empty object, which is this user data and then empty, and then you can later add the name and the value pair. So then you can add like user data.name is Sally, user data age is 18, user data height is like 187. Okay. But you can also include all of these values when we initially declare this user data. They are the same, just different ways of declaring object. Uh, 27 Legend asks in the chat, are comments using yes, so this is, oops, sorry. So this is how we can comment a line in JavaScript. Cool. Yeah, so we have seen the way of using user data .prop by adding or changing name value pair. But we can also use another method, which is using the bracket and then the name and then its value. So it's the same. So for example, here what we can do is we can have it works the same as this way. So in JavaScript, we have these different ways of changing or adding the name and value pairs in objects. Cool. Okay, so with objects, there are some more advanced powerful things that we can do. For example, here we declared a user data object with 3 name and value pairs, and we can use this object function. Okay, so this object method is predefined in JavaScript that we did not declare what is object here in this single program, or we did not include any packages here. Is predefined in JavaScript. So we can use object.keys to get all the keys in user data. We can use object.entries to get all the entries in user data, and similarly with values. Okay, so what are the keys? What are the entries? What are the values? How to use them? So let's run it first. Object props-1. Okay. So object keys are the keys in this object, which are name, age, and height. And entries are the name and the value pairs. So the entries of user data are name, Sally, age, 18, height, 187. And what if you just want to get values in this user data? So it will become Sally, 18, and 187. So these are object.keys, object.entries, object.values. So these are predefined JavaScript object functions that you can use directly. So you do not need to declare them here in your project. Cool. Yep, I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, we got a very interesting question from Jatin about whether we can mix and nest objects and arrays. So the answer is yes. So this is so we can have, for example, scores. Okay, we can have. So we can have arrays in an object. So we can have 99 for one subject and 100 for another subject. Okay, so we can have arrays in an object, so you can nest them. Cool. Okay, so do we have any question about using object.keys, object.entries, and object.values? All good? Yep. Cool. So after you know how to use object.keys, entries, and values, we can now loop through this user data by using Okay, I'll talk about this a bit later, but let's have a look at slides here for first. So after we learned after we learned how to use object, you may notice that in object we have the kind of method that we can use, the array method, and in arrays you also notice that we had the array method. So array is an array, but they also have the length or the kind of function that is being called. So this is because in JavaScript almost everything is an object. So you can think of array as a specific type of object, which the key is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, rather than names, ZID, height, or marks. Right. So you can think of array as a specific kind of object, that there are some kind of functions that you can call, you can use. Okay, so let's now try to put these things together, some lists of objects. So let's have a look at this one. It's okay if you are a little bit confused, if confusing, there are too much going on here in this first lecture about JavaScript. It's absolutely okay. You will learn more about JavaScript in the tutorials, in the labs, and you will also learn with your projects. And we also have other lectures about JavaScript. So this lecture is just give you an overview of how you can learn JavaScript as a second programming language, but we will learn more and practice more. You can have a better understanding of how to use it. Okay, so now we declare an array of user data. In this array, you notice that we have two objects in it. So the first object here is at index 0. The second object here is at index 1, right? Because user array here is declared as an array. User data here is declared an array, and the value at index 0 is an object with a few name and value pairs, and this is the value at index 1, which is an object, also have a few name and value pairs. So random name here asks, can you have an object in an object? The answer is yes. We'll show this in our next example. Okay. Cool. So in this example, we have learned object.keys, entries, and values. So now we can use it in this example. So we can use, if we want to return an array of an object, so we can use object.keys. If you want to return an array of the object's own entries, so these are the entries, all entries of this array, we can use object.entries or values. So this is exactly the same with this one, but it also applies to arrays rather than objects. So we can say that an array is a special type of an object. So all of these not only apply to user data that is declared as an object, but also apply to array. It's just the keys will not be the strings, but will be the index, which is 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so to give you a better understanding of how this works, let's show you this example object Week1. Oops, sorry, I think this is too much information, but I'll explain to you. So the first console log is the keys, right? Remember that we say that user data is here declared as an array, so that the keys should be 0, 1, 2, 3, right, rather than the string. And then when we console log the entries, so the entry is everything in this array with the keys and also the value at each index. So at index 0, its value is this object. At index 1, its value is this object. Right. However, if we just want to get the values, ignoring all the index, the console log's value becomes name age becomes this. So this is the first value, this is the second one in this array. Yep. Cool. So you can see that almost everything we can think of it as an object in JavaScript. So we can think of an array as a special type of an object. Right? So it still have the key and also the value. We can also say property, value, name, value is just the same. It's just different way of naming. Dallin asked, will the link to the slides be updated soon? Yes. So on the course website now, you can already see the slides. However, they were from last term, but it's basically very similar. But we'll upload these slides for this term. Cool. Yeah, reading the chat. Yeah, okay, cool. So after we learn how to use the keys, the object entries, object value, now we can loop through this user data. So for example, now we want to print out the value for the age for Sally, the hat for Sally, and the age for Bob and the hat for Bob. What we can do is we can have such kind of a for loop. Okay, so we loop user data.length. Remember that for user data.length, this is one of the array method. We get the length of an array. So here the user data.length should be, can you put in the chat, what should this user chat.length be? 2, right? So user data.length should be 2 because there are 2 items in this array, in this user data array. And then in the first loop, when I is equal to 0, user data 0.name should be, can you put in the chat what this value should be when I is 0? It should be, yes, Sally, right? It should be Sally. So what is console log here will be Sally's properties are, and then name, which is, what is this one? It's Sally, right? Yes. And then the next line will be age, and then 18. And the next line will be height, 186. Right? Yep. Cool. Great. Thanks. And for the next loop, when I becomes 1, then the first line will print out Bob's properties are name Bob, age 17, height 188. Right? Yep. Okay, cool. Let's try run this file and see whether it works as what we expected. Yay! So this is good as console log. So Sally's properties are name Sally, age 18, height is 186. Right? And similar with Bob. So this is very powerful when we have a database of the user data and we want to get the value in this database. We want to loop through all the users in this user data, get the value of it, right? So this is this can become very useful. Remembering this is how we can put variables and strings together. So this is called string literals, right? And this is the backdash, right? So you can have blank blank here in this string, and when you console log, you can also notice there's the blank space here before name, age, and height. Yep. Okay. Cool. Great. So let's do a little bit more with the loop. So again, so you can see that in previous examples, the user data are declared as arrays. So arrays are perfectly fine for holding such kind of user data or the data structure. But we can also use objects. So we can have user data declared as an object. And in this object, what are the keys? Can anyone tell me what are the keys in this user data? Can you put in the chat? Okay, I'm waiting for the chat. Yeah, so Kwon said that the key should be Sally and Bob. Princess says the key should be age and height. And Ring says the key should be Sally and Bob. Yes, so the key should be Sally and Bob. Okay, so this user data is declared as an object, and there are two key value pairs. So this is the first key value pair, and this is the second key value pair. Okay, so in this first key value pair, this is the key and this is the value. So you can see that in this example, the value for Sally is also an object. So we can have object as a value in an object, right? So in this object, the key are age and height. So these are the keys for this object. However, for user data, for this object, its keys are Sally and Bob. right? Okay. So now let's have a look at this example in this for loop. So you can see that it's for in loop. Can anyone remind me, when we use for in loop, what are the values for key here? Remembering the for in loop and for off loop. So when we are using for in loop, we loop through the keys. Right? Yeah, key is the index. Yeah, so Starkey says the key should be 0 and 1. Quan and Nick says that the key should be Sally and Bob. Yep. So you see that we say array is a special type of an object, right? So if user data here is an array, then we use for in loop. The keys will be 0, 1, 2, 3, right? However, user data here is an object, so key will be Sally and Bob, right? Yeah. So key here will be Sally and Bob. So for the first loop, the console log key will be Sally's properties are, and then we loop through this nested object. So key 2 in user data key. Wow, this is a little bit confusing, but I believe you can figure this out. So user data key. What is user data key? One key is Sally. Sorry, what should be key 2 here? Right. So when we in this loop, when we use for in user data, keys are Sally and Bob, and in this nested for loop, when we loop through here, the key 2 will be age and height. Yes, you are right. Kevin, Princess, you are all right. So the key 2 will be age and height, and then we can console log. Here is age 18, height 186 cm. Right? Yeah, let's try to run this file. So it should be, sorry, just contrast. Yeah, so you can see this is what just console logged. So Sally's properties are age 18, height 186. Box properties are age 17, height 188 cm. Right. So you can see that JavaScript is very powerful. It allows you to store complicated data structure in an object or in an array, and then you can read through the values or the names or the keys in the object. It's very powerful. So it might be a little bit too complicated at the beginning. This is absolutely fine. We'll do exercises, we'll do practice, we'll do the lab. So you will know that pretty soon. Okay. Cool. So what if we combine what we have learned so far in one single example? So let's have a look at this one. Okay, so now we declared a couple of students as object. So student 1 named Michelle, student 2 named Rennie, and student 3 named Hayden. And we can declare a student array and put all of these objects in one single array. Okay, so I'll comment out all the rest and just console log this student. Combining Yeah, so you can see that when we console log this student is an array, and in this array we have 3 objects in that. Okay, so this is the first, this is the second, and this is the third. Right, so this is the first one is at index 0, the second one is at index 1, third one is at index 2. Right? Cool. All clear so far? Any question? Okay, cool. Let's comment out this one. Let's have a look at this one. We want to know how many students are there in this student list. So we can use student.length. Remember, this is a array method that we got the length of an array. So we can get the length of student array by using students.length, and we store the value of it in this number students. And what we can do is we want to find who got an HD, right? So among all of these students who got an HD, we want to print out their names. So we loop through this students array. So we use this for loop, and if the student's score is greater than 85, then we console log this student's name and say the student's got an HD. Yep. Cool. Let's try, and you can see that this is Rennie got an HD, Hayden got an HD. Pull each out, pull myself. Okay, I should work harder. So this is how we can loop through the students list and find out who got an HD and console log this student's name and say they got an HD and shout out to them. Okay. Yeah, so this is a string literal. We got a question asking what's the difference between using the backdash and the single quote. Using backdash, we can get a string literal that we can mix the strings with variables. So this is very powerful. And student's I, when I is 0, student's I's name will be Yuchao, right? Cool. So this is the first approach. However, there's also another approach that we can do the same. Let's have a look. So we can use for off loop. Remembering how for op loop, we loop through the values in an array, right? So we actually loop through this one. This is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. So the students will become this one, and this one, right? So you can get the value of score in that by using student.score directly. Yep. Cool. Got any other questions? Yep. Okay. Cool. Okay, so that's all for this first lecture about JavaScript. I know some of you have another lecture or tutorial class following this one, so feel free to head off to your class. Otherwise, there's some further reading for you to learn about like arrays of objects. Cool. So we will show you this feedback form after each lecture. So we always welcome any lecture or lab or project or that feedback for 1531. Please let us know. You can be anonymous, provide anonymous feedback, or provide LZ ID for a follow-up. Thank you, everyone. See you next lecture on Thursday in person in Physics Theatre. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It is okay if you are a little bit lost or confused. It's absolutely fine. You will practice this in the tutorial labs, and we also talk a little bit more about this in our next lecture. So it's okay.